Sony just announced the FX3, a powerful cinematic version of the popular stills hybrid camera, the a7S III. And if you were thinking of getting the a7S III, you're going to want to watch this video first. It might change your mind. Listen more after the intro. Hi, I'm Simon. Thanks for tuning in to The Ordinary Filmmaker. Subscribe to get notification of new videos like this one so you don't miss any news, rumors, gear reviews, or tutorials. And to make things a little bit more exciting, I'm giving away a brand new Canon EOS R5 full-frame mirrorless camera to one lucky viewer. Details are in the description down below, or you can watch this video here, but please look at the terms and conditions as there are some age and location restrictions. And now for the news. Sony says that the FX3 is about fulfilling the vision of delivering your passion whenever and wherever you go. It's about cinematic expression. So what ingredients did Sony toss into the FX3? How is it different from the a7S III? Well, it has a full-frame back-illuminated CMOS sensor. It's 10.2 megapixels video or 12 megapixels for stills. And yes, this camera still does stills. It has s-cinetone, and that delivers accurate skin tones. And without doing an awful lot of work in post, it gives you that cinematic look and feel. Now, s-cinetone is the same color profile found in their Venice cameras, and this is their professional grade cameras. S-cinetone isn't available in the a7S III yet, but it will be coming in a firmware update shortly. Now, the FX3 has S-Gamut 3, records in 10-bit 422 all-I, so we're happy there. And yeah, so far I'm loving what I hear. Sony's been listening to what we want as ordinary filmmakers, and it's easy to see that they want to be number one. The FX3 with the right lenses allows you to easily separate the subject from the background, like with that 50mm f1.4. And it functions very well in low light. Like the a7S III, it has 15 stops of dynamic range. It has an ISO range up to 409,600 and can deliver 4K up to 120 frames per second. But if you're willing to export over HDMI, you can get 4.2K. Now, it is a little bit bigger than the a7S III, but it weighs a modest 715 grams. Add the XLR adapter that's included and the 50mm f1.4, and the weight does increase dramatically. But the XLR adapter, well, it also has two connectors and multi-threaded holes, so you don't need to go out and purchase a bulky camera cage. Autofocus looks great, but that's what we'd expect in a promotional video. What does stand out? The autofocus system has 94 by 95% coverage and is one of the best autofocus systems available. Now, it does have face and eye detection, but there's no mention if it has bird or animal eye detection, though I suspect it does. It is moisture and dust resistant, built tough with a magnesium alloy frame, but what I like most about this camera is the tally lights on the front, on the top, and the back of the camera. Oh, the amount of times where I've forgotten to press the record button or I've just left it. No, I've done that way too many times. Let's just ignore that. Anyhow, the FX3 does look good. It's got better ergonomics than the a7S III, and if you're a video shooter most of the time, I'd really consider the FX3 over the a7S III. Actually, in fact, you know what? If I was looking at both of these cameras, and I kind of am, I was considering the a7S III, and right now, I am no longer interested in the a7S III. Sure, the FX3 is a little bit more expensive, but I don't know. I think it's pretty good. Now, let's talk about the price. Now, I did expect it to cost pretty much the same as the a7S III, plus or minus about $150. Well, Sony released it with a suggested retail price of $3,898. Looks like I missed the price on this one just a little bit, but at least I wasn't off by 4 figures. What do you think? Is this the camera for you? Sony's saying all the right things in the promotional video. The camera is highly capable and even shoots stills. If I had to choose today between the R5 and the FX3 and I was still shooting with my 70D, I'm not so sure that I'd make the same decision. Nice job, Sony. Way to make a splash. And now, let's go behind the scenes. I never know what to expect from these announcements. Quite often the rumors are way off, but in this case the rumors got a lot of it right. It is going to be the same sensor size as the a7S III. It's going to have the same card slots. It's going to have the same resolutions, 4K 120, although it will give you 4.2K over HDMI. It's internal 10-bit 422 recording. Plus it has s-cinetone. Now the a7S III is getting s-cinetone in a firmware update very shortly. But simple little things that make this camera stand out, like the tally lights. If you do record video most of the time, how many times have you pressed the record button, but you didn't press it all the way down, and it didn't record? I've made that mistake way too many times, and you make it once and it's costly. You make it a second time and it's frustrating. Those tally lights are incredible. The size of the unit, doesn't matter where you are in the world. And many of you've asked me in the past, would the R5 work for me? And you're in places like Northern Australia or Malaysia. And in those high heat conditions, the R5 isn't going to work for you unless you're recording in 4K 30, the standard 4K mode. If you want high detail, like you can get in the Sony a7S III without overheating, and in the FX3, you know, the R5 doesn't work, but the FX3 is one of those cameras now where you can go anywhere you want, don't have to worry about heat, and it's moisture resistance and dust resistant as well. So I think that this camera is really what the a7S III should have been. Because now you've got the a7S III side by side with the FX3. I can't think of a good reason to get the a7S III. Now, we have to dig really deep into the details, but it can shoot stills like the a7S III. It's a 12 megapixel sensor like the a7S III. Has 15 stops of dynamic range like the a7S III. It has s-cinetone, which the a7S III doesn't, but we'll be getting in a firmware update. Those tele lights are really good. The XLR adapter, that's really good because now you start stepping things up. You can have much better audio. You can have other things that you can attach to the camera without having to get a camera cage, so it keeps your weight down. And these things really matter if you're going to be shooting for a long time. If you're a video-only shooter, or most of the time, I think the FX3 makes the most amount of sense. It's the freedom to shoot without those exposure concerns. And this is something that I think is really great. You get this in the a7S III, and obviously it's going to migrate into the FX3. If you're shooting outside and you're focused on a subject, and it's the same as the ZV-1, it has that as well. So it'll focus on your subject, so face and eye detection, but it also focus or exposure locks as well. So even if the sun is changing, moving, if the sun's going in and out of clouds, it's always going to maintain the exposure on the subject's face, and that is really huge. But to put that in a cinematic camera body with s-cinetone, I'm in love with this camera. I think it is really good, and this is all eye. It's not long op, it's not IPB, and you are going to need some pretty hefty memory cards here. It does support CF Express Type A, which are a little bit more expensive, but you're going to need to spend some money there and bulk up. On my R5, I've got a 2 terabyte Angelbird card, and it's what I shoot with all the time because I don't have to worry about filling up cards. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm godsmacked by this camera. If it had to come out in, let's say, June of last year, that would have been. But I've gotten used to the R5. I shot a video last weekend in 8K, and it was truly amazing how good the quality was. When I uploaded it to YouTube, the 4K looked better than when I shot in 4K HQ. It's something to do with YouTube's compression algorithms that just make 8K video look really good. So I'm not knocking the R5. I think the R5 is still a great camera. I love the stills capabilities that it provides, and that would be the tough decision if I had to make it today. Do I want to... I shoot video about 90-95% of the time, but that other 5%, I want really good stills capabilities, and the R5 gives me that. I guess the right thing to do would be to have the R5 and also the FX3. What do you think? I think that's a good combination. Now, we don't know what the a7 IV is going to be like, too, because you might say, well, you know what, get the a7 IV and the FX3. And you know what, that might be the perfect combination. I think Sony's doing a great job here. I don't know where the Canon C50 is, but I don't know what its price either. Is this going to compete, the FX3 going to compete against this Canon C50? We'll just have to wait and see. Canon's been delaying their product launches a little bit. But let me know what you think. Did this camera meet or exceed your expectations? A lot of the comments I saw online in my previous videos said, you know, if they don't do 10-bit 422 internal all eye, I'm not even interested. Well, I think they took what is already a great camera in the a7S III and they took the innards and put it into a cinema body, and they listened to ordinary filmmakers. Instead of doing what Apple did and giving us something that's going to cost like $8,000, they gave us a camera for under $4,000 that, for most of us, 4K 120, detailed video, 15 stops at dynamic range. Now, the only thing I didn't see here, and this is a missed opportunity, is why can't they give us oversample 1080? How many people in the world still today? Do you still shoot in 1080? I do occasionally. And I really wish I could get 4K oversample 1080. I mean, how hard is it? It isn't. It isn't that hard. It's software programming. I mean, the Canon R5 can do 8K oversample 4K. It can certainly do 4K oversample 1080. But that's it for now. Don't forget to subscribe for your chance to win 2 Angelbird 128GB AV Pro MK2 B90 UHS-2 SD cards, along with an Angelbird dual UHS-2 card reader. Or you could also win a Ulanzi LED light package with accent lights, like the ones I've got on my bookcase here, an underwater light, and various other flat panel lights that you can use to light your subject, or as a starter kit for your own YouTube channel. I'll be awarding these 2 prize bundles once the channel reaches 30,000 subscribers. And then I'll be offering up a different prize bundle every 10,000 or so subscribers until the channel reaches 100,000. Now, once I reach this significant milestone of 100,000, where YouTube sends me a wonderful plaque, I'll be awarding a brand new Canon EOS R5 full-frame mirrorless camera to one lucky viewer. And on that bombshell, thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. We'll see you again soon.